make the ground shake.
The next chapter I'm going to talk is about Everything I Need to Know I Learned in the Forest by Vandana Shiva. Students, this is an essay that speaks of the role of environment in human life, focusing on the countless lessons nature imparts. This essay aims to make students think about the myriad ways of environment that affect and shape the course of human life on earth. It also makes them imbibe a healthy, scientific and indigenous attitude towards the natural world. So, let me talk. This is in this autobiographical essay, we get introduced to the story of Vandana Shiva's life and also the story of the whole generation of 1960s, and it ceases to be personal. Vandana Shiva depicts the story of a nation struggling to be what it is, and in the process she raises several unresolved questions. Vandana Shiva is a feminist and she writes with ecological consciousness. The essay can be divided into 6 parts. The first part of the essay deals with her intimate contact with the Himalayan forest and how she was influenced by Chipko, that is Chipko Movement. Second part deals with the establishment of Navadanya farm to conserve biodiversity and organic farming. She established community seeds banks and she asserts biodiversity as an answer to food and nutritious crisis in India. Third part of the essay deals with how science and technology has created materialistic attitude and the earth a storehouse of wealth to be exploited. Earth Day celebration recognizes the right of the Mother Earth and the need to reconnect ourselves with her. Man, the manipulator, has forgotten that we are the inseparable part of nature. The fourth part deals with the capitalistic attitude to nature. They look at nature as a dead matter, that is, terra nullius. But it is the Mother Earth, that is Terra Madre. We are all related to Earth, no matter where we live in. The Earth is potential, protective, and resourceful. We need to extend ecological consciousness to our thinking and lifestyle. The fourth part tells us about what nature teaches. It teaches the poetry of the forest, enoughness, coexistence, biodiversity, peace, harmony, and live and let live. I repeat, live and let live. ಬದುಕಿ ನಾವು ಬದುಕಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಬದುಕೋಕೆ ಬಿಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಲಿತಾ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. Man is inseparable part of nature and any separation from it is eco-apartheid. Earth democracy is a shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism. I repeat, Earth democracy is a shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism. The sixth part talks about Tagore's or Rabindranath Tagore's essay Tapovana or Tapovan, means in English forest of purity. Ancient thoughts and all form of life and wisdom nourished from the forest. Unity and diversity is the basis of life for both ecology and democracy. Human dominance over nature has to be checked and controlled. We need to be non-violent. I repeat, we need to be non-violent, cooperative, non-invasive, and non-interventional in our attitude to nature. We need to accept nature as a source of life. So right now we are struggling about corona because we are against the nature. See, with this attitude to be controlled, and this was showed by nature presently. So this is a brief explanation, students. Let me come with a part 1, that is what is this Chipko movement? See here, Chipko movement or Chipko action took place in the Himalayan villages of Advani in 1977. She recalls how a village woman named Bachni Devi led a movement of resistance against her own husband who had obtained a contract to cut trees. When the logging officials arrived at the forest, the women held up lighted lanterns although it was broad daylight. It doesn't mean they don't have sense. There is a symbol for this, why they lightened a broad daylight. When the forest asked them to explain why they are doing so, the women replied that they had come there to teach them forestry. The forester admonished them, saying that they were foolish women and did not know the value of the forest. He added that the forest produced profit, resin and timber. The women sang back in chorus, replying that the forest bore soils, water and pure air and also sustained the earth and all that she bears. So like this, Vandana Shiva was also influenced by Chipko movement, and after that she also becomes a volunteer for Chipko movement, and she goes on taking a documentary regarding this Chipko movement, and this you can study in your textbook. So next part I am talking like this about beyond monoculture. So you can see in the textbooks here, students here, beyond monoculture. I just revise it. Beyond monoculture, here Vandana Shiva tells that the readers that she learned about biodiversity and biodiversity based living economies from the Chipko movement. Since then, protecting both biodiversity and biodiversity based economies has become her life's mission. So here, biodiversity and biodiversity living economics means the wealth of the forest or the source of the forest. So further she remarks that as she had described in her book Monocultures of Mind, you have to keep in mind Monocultures of Mind, the book what she has written. Here she says that our failure to understand biodiversity and its many functions is the root cause of impoverishment of nature and culture. So then she says that the lesson she learned about diversity in the Himalayan forest, she transferred to the protection of biodiversity on her farms. She started saving seeds from farmers' fields and incidentally realized that they needed a farm for demonstration and training. This led to the establishment of Navadanya farm, which was started in the Doon Valley, located in the lower elevation Himalayan region of Uttarakhand province. So, she wanted to make the readers, to the people, to the farmers, that they should understand the biodiversity. So, we know that India almost based on monoculture cultivation. So now, she wanted to teach the people or the farmers to have a biodiversity intensive caring. That's what she is telling next. She declares that now they conserve and grow 630 varieties of rice where in her farm, that is Navadanya farm, located in Doon Valley. So in the lower elevation of Himalayan forest. So she declares that now they conserve and grow 630 varieties of rice, 150 varieties of wheat and hundreds of other species. She proudly says that she practices and promotes a biodiversity intensive form of farming that produces more food and nutritious per acre. Finally, she observes that the conservation of biodiversity is therefore the answer to the food and nutritious crisis. Crisis means impurity being faced in our country. So this is how she learned from Chipko movement and also from the Himalayan mountains, that is biodiversity, and thought about Navadanya form. So next part she tells that not only this, what are other objectives of Navadanya form located in Doon Valley. She tells us that Navadanya, the movement, see, before establishing this Navadanya farm, it went under a movement, and this movement is called as a Navadanya movement. She struggled a lot to establish this and to convince to the farmers and other people in the country. She goes on to talk about this. The movement for biodiversity, conservation and organic farming that she started in 1987 is spreading. She reports that so far they have worked with farmers to set up more than 100 community seed banks across India and have saved more than 300 rice varieties. So, you need to understand seed banks are very useful. If there are any banks, so you understand banks, how their banks are useful. Like this, seed banks means they store the seeds that any corner of the people, any corner of the world, they can come and have this kind of seeds in their own farms. So usually in some region they cultivate other crops, we may not cultivate, and this can be done in another way. So like this, she established seed banks and across India and have saved more than 3,000 rice varieties. See, imagine 3,000 rice varieties. We know very few, but India grows nearly 100 or 150. In the world, it is 3,000 varieties. And Navadanya farm has all these 3,000 rice varieties. So, the Navadanya organization helps farmers make a transition from fossil fuel and chemical. Not only this, it helps to establish or found the seed banks, but Navadanya farm also teaches them how to convert fossil fuel and chemical-based monocultures to biodiverse ecological systems. Nourish, and that means they use chemicals. Instead of chemicals, fertilizers, we can go with a diverse ecological system, that is natural manures, by using the natural manures. So, helps farmers to transition from fossil fuel and chemical-based monoculture to biodiverse ecological systems flourished by the sun and the soil. That means natural manures instead of using chemical fertilizers. So she concludes that saying that biodiversity has been her teacher of abundance and freedom, of cooperation and mutual giving. So in this part she talked about Navadanya farm, how it was established as a movement. First it was a movement in 1987 and later in 1994 she established this Navadanya farm, 1994 in the Doon Valley. So in the next part of the essay she talks about the rights of nature on the global stage. So here in the first section of this article she suggests that we accept nature as a teacher. Of course nature is our teacher. And when we do so, we co-create with her and also recognize her agency. Agency means her help. Her means here the nature's help. And her rights. Even nature has its own rights. Means see, we human beings are so powerful. So we think that we are the most strongest animal on this earth and we try to dominate on other creatures. Even we are right now, you know that we are dominating on the nature. So here in this part, you will come to know how nature is also has its own rights. Incidentally, she informs the reader that Ecuador, so you have to pronounce it as Ecuador, has recognized the rights of nature in its constitution, calls it as a significant step. So even United Nations General Assembly recognized a conference in harmony with nature as part of Earth Day celebration in April 2011. So there are other countries like Bolivia also initiated in its constitution and it declared Universal Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth. Bolivia also initiate like this. Even Vandana Shiva says that that is waste to transfer system based on domination of people over nature, men over women and rich over poor into new system based on partnerships. She makes a reference to the report of the UN Secretary General in this regard. So here the report says that harmony with nature. Here this is a conjunction with issued in conjunction with a conference, in addition with the conference. So the report highlighted that it said ultimately environmentally destructive behavior is the result of failure to recognize that human beings are inseparable part of nature and that we cannot damage it without severely damaging ourselves. That means we think that of course we are damaging earth. We never thought that we are damaging ourselves. Like, see, if we protect nature, nature protects us. This is the slogan, student. If we protect nature and we start dominating nature, naturally it starts dominating on us. It destroys us. Presently we are seeing coronavirus, students, and it's dominating us in such a way. So this is the best example what we can relate here. So next part she talks about the separatism. See, separatism, that is, the author recalls our beliefs. That means separatism, we in a simple sentence I can say that we human beings feels very superior and we are separated from the nature. We that is, we are the center and we think that we human beings are the center, others are under us. No, that is wrong. This separatism is the that is dominating, that is how we need to change ourselves. That is through Vandana Shiva's words. See what she says, that our beliefs about the earth is the pre-industrial era when man believed that living beings were inseparable part of nature. So I am talking here, students, here this part. So, but later with the advent of scientific thinking, man came under the illusion that living earth was dead matter and there was no connection between the living earth and other living creatures. So when we started scientifically, when the man started to invent many things, he started to think that earth is just a dead matter, it's a non-living, it has no rights, it has no strength, like this. We started to dominating like this through industries. So, and dead matter, and there was no connection between the living earth and other living creatures. Vandana Shiva remarks that it was at this moment in the history that the war against the earth began. She observes that the seeds of separateness were sown when the living earth was considered as dead matter to facilitate the industrial revolution. Industrial revolution. So, she adds here that monocultures replaced diversity, raw materials and dead matter replaced a vibrant earth. So now what she's talking, that monocultures must be replaced to biodiversity, and what we are thinking that earth is a dead matter. No, we need to change our mind that earth is a vibrant earth. It has a strong power. Like that we have to, if man thinks naturally the earth came to be termed, that is, earth will become, naturally we are also a part of earth annadu namge gottagta barutte. The earth came to be termed as terra nullius, which means empty land, ready for preoccupation regardless of the act that the mother earth, that is terra madre, was home to tens of thousands of indigenous people, that is people of different races, tribes, etc. So like this, the person who propounded this philosophy was Francis Bacon, who is called the father of modern science. Francis asserted that science and the inventions that results do not merely exert a gentle guidance over nature's course. They have the power to conquer and subdue her, that is nature, and to shake her to the foundation. So here Gibbon talking against of the human power. So that people are misusing the earth and our resource. So next, Vandana Shiva also mentions about the Karl Merchant. He also says that Karl Merchant, a philosopher and a historian, he nods about that and says that this shift of perspective from nature as a living, nurturing mother to inert, dead and manipulate matter. That means Vandana Shiva says that the images of domination of the earth by scientific methods created by Francis Bacon and other leaders of the scientific revolution replace the idea that earth nurtures life, living beings. They also successfully removed the cultural constraints on the exploitation of nature. Until then, people did not dare to readily slay a mother, dig into her entrails of gold, or mutilate her body. So, as observed by Marching. So, this is how she inferred here that once Francis Bacon popularized the idea that the earth can serve as a source of raw materials for scientific experiments. Many new scientific discoveries and inventions were made, which later led to the exploitation of iron, gold, copper, wood, and metals from the earth and heralded the Industrial Revolution. Modernization, growth of cities, increase in the number of rich people, and urban culture displacing our culture. So, next section, she talks about the nature, what nature teaches. See, Vandana Shiva tells the reader that we need to know. We too do now. What's that? She says that we are facing multiple crises which are intensified by globalization, and hence we need to move away from the paradigm of nature as dead matter and move towards the ecological paradigm. So, paradigms. So, Vandana Shiva tells us that to understand what an ecological paradigm means, we need to go to nature ourselves, and nature is the best teacher. So, instead of thinking that we are the superior, no, nature is the superior. We need to understand this. And here, Vandana Shiva makes it very clear, telling that in the Vandana Shiva presents a model of the Earth University, which the author says is located at Navadanya. So, as you know, there is a Navadanya from here. There is a model of Earth University. So, a biodiversity form. Navadanya form means a biodiversity form. She says that the idea of Earth University teaches Earth democracy. Keep in mind, students, Earth University teaches Earth democracy. So, what is Earth democracy then? So, according to the author, Earth democracy, that is the concept of Earth democracy, symbolizes freedom. I get your point here. Freedom for all species to evolve within the web of life. So, that is, it also refers to the freedom and responsibilities of humans as members of the Earth family to recognize, protect, and respect the rights of other species. Vandana Shiva explains that the idea of Earth democracy is a shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism. So, what is this? So, anthropocentrism is a school of thought which argues that humans are central element of the universe. Now, we need to accept that ecosystems are the main elements of the universe and not the man. And the earth nurtures diverse ecosystems. It also means that it is man's responsibility to preserve these ecosystems. Since we all depend on the earth for our survival, Earth democracy gives every human being's rights to food and water, to freedom and from hunger and thirst. So that means we need to understand that we are not superior, we are not central idea of this universe. Nature is the central and we need to co-create with the nature, forgetting that we are superior. So this is nothing but, Earth democracy is nothing but a shift, changing ourselves from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism. So the next is very important one, the last part, that is the poetry of the forest. Here, Vandana Shiva talks about how she got the influence of the essay written by Rabindranath Tagore, Tapovana, and made her to divert herself for a biodiversity establishment. See now. See, the poetry of the forest. Vandana Shiva talks about the original source of the idea of the Earth University. She states she states that the concept of Earth University originated by Rabindranath Tagore, Shantiniketan's in West Bengal. Incidentally, Vandana Shiva gives a brief introduction of Rabindranath Tagore, who is our national poet and a Nobel laureate. She informs the reader that the Tagore started a learning center in Shantiniketan in West Bengal as a forest school. His intention was to take inspiration from nature and to create an Indian culture renaissance. The school became a university in 1921, growing into one of India's most famous centers of learning. Now, how it influenced Vandana Shiva? That's the point here. That is, how the essay written by Tagore, Tapavana, how it influenced and how it made Vandana Shiva to establish Earth University. See now, here she refers to Tagore's essay. After reading this Tagore's essay, she was highly influenced. See how she was. What's the speciality? What's the points you get from this essay? See what Tagore says here means. Tagore has expressed his understanding of the Indian civilization. Tagore states that Indian civilization has been distinctive in locating its source of regeneration, material and intellectual in the forest, not the city. That means Tagore asserts that India's best ideas have come from where man was in communion with trees and rivers and lakes, away from the crowds. He adds that the peace of the forest has helped the intellectual evolution of man. Furthermore, he says that the culture that has arisen from the forest has been influenced by the diverse process of renewal of life, and these processes of renewal of life are always at play in the forest, varying from season to season, in sight, sound and smell. This culture of the forest has fueled the culture of Indian society. He concludes saying that the unifying principle of life in diversity of democratic pluralism thus became the principle of Indian civilization. That means, what the essay talks about here means, says that this unity in diversity is the basis of both ecological sustainability and democracy. She asserts that diversity without unity becomes the source of conflict and contest, and unity without diversity becomes the ground for external control. That means, she adds that this is true of both nature and culture. We can relate with Tagore. The Tagore says the same thing. We human beings, when we have a communion, when we have a joined, when we understood the value of rivers, trees, etc., lakes away, then only we understood what's the value of every existence. So, this culture we learn from the forest, not in the cities, what Tagore talking here. That means, our civilization has flourished only because of our forest. Our people, all intellectual people, there are so many writers, poets, intellectual thinkers, reformers, all this, they have this thinking only because of our forest. Because forest teaches the culture. It makes the man, that is you can find in the forest, you have so many qualities. Forest has cooperation, coordination, freedom, peace, rights, etc. All this makes the person to understand what exactly his existence is. And this we have learned from the forest that is our Indian forest, what Tagore wants to say us. So the same thing was followed by Vandana Shiva also. She also learned from this essay and she made herself to establish a biodiversity that is farm, and that is Navadanya farm through. So like this unity, and she also says that this unity in diversity is the basis of both biological sustainability and democracy. Where there is unity in diversity, it leads to ecological sustainability. That means nature also will be protected and the people will be also protected when we understand the culture of the forest. And naturally, if we understand the culture of the forest, naturally we understand the biodiversity and its values. So, next she concludes by telling that elaborates, that is, she says this. She refers to Tagore's writing and she says that in his writing the forest was not just the source of knowledge and freedom, then what it is, but also the source of beauty, of joy, of art and aesthetics, of harmony and perfection. So it symbolizes the universe. Forest symbolizes the universe. So Vandana Shiva, just you need to imagine the forest, students. You imagine the birds, animals, plants, trees. You'll understand the coordination, how they are peaceful, why they are peaceful. That's the culture, what Tagore wants to do. And this was a little bit extracted from his thinking, and she established this biodiversity in her form by showing we can go with a multiple cultivation. So because of this multiple cultivation, biodiversity will sustain. So it symbolizes the universe. Vandana Shiva says that the forest teaches us union and compassion. It also teaches us enoughness. Enoughness means limitness. We need to have our own limits. See, we can understand man exploits anything more than anything else, any other animals and birds in the nature. Man must understand his enoughness, his limits. It means it teaches us the principle of equity. Everyone have their equality. Every creature, even an ant, a small insect has its own equality. It shows us how to enjoy the gifts of nature without exploitation. I repeat, it shows us how to enjoy the gifts of nature and nature without exploitation. Furthermore, she says that no species in the forest takes away the share of another species, and every species sustains itself in cooperation with others. See, when we observe in the forest, every species or every animal, bird has its own limits. They never takes others' rights there. You can observe any animal, you can observe. So I told in the classroom also, tiger, lion, they go for hunting. They hunt the animals when they are hungry. Unnecessarily they never hunt or kill any other animals. This is what we say. That is, we must know. That is what we say. We should understand our limits. And they even every creatures in this nature co-creates. They know their limits, right? So, cooperation with others. She concludes saying that the end of consumerism. Next, she talks about the consumerism. And accumulation is the beginning of the joy of living. She says that when we end this consumerism, naturally we have a joy of living. When we won't end this consumerism, naturally we have to suffer. We come down. So, if we want a joy of living, we have to stop consumerism. So now we can observe, we have because of coronavirus, this lockdown, we have so much simple living. Now we are not expecting that I need a building, I need this, that, because this is what nature is teaching us. You need to have your limitness. So, and we have to stop consumerism. And this will lead to joy of living. So she cites Tagore to support her statement. Tagore quotes from the ancient text written in the forest. Know all that moves in this moving world are as enveloped by God, and find enjoyment through renunciation, not through greed or of possession. That means Tagore says that all these things move in this, whatever it happens only in the God's wish. So all we are enveloped in the hands of God. So no one can do against the God's wish. So, and we should know that we should stop to have a greed of possession. Finally, Vandana Shiva rounds off her article saying that the conflict between greed and compassion. Greed andre durase, compassion andre ase illadu, takka mattige ase irodu. Conquest and cooperation. See, again opposite, conquest and cooperation. We have to stop conquest. Instead, we need to cultivate cooperation. Violence and harmony. Again, we need to stop violence. We need to have a harmony. Vaggattu. continues even today, and in this situation it is the forest. See, this all we learned. What we learned? Compassion, cooperation, harmony. We have learned from the forest that can show us the way beyond this conflict. ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದ್ಯಾವುದು? ಗ್ರೀಡು, ಕಾನ್ಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟು, ವೈಲೆನ್ಸು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟ್. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತಡಿಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು, ತಡೆಯೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾವು ಅದರಿಂದ ಕಲಿಸ್ವಿ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟಿಂದ ಕಲಿಬೋದು ನಾವು. ಸೊ thus Vandana Shiva wants to assure us that forest teaches us the value of diversity, freedom and coexistence. I repeat, Vandana Shiva wants to assure us that the forest teaches us the value of diversity, freedom and coexistence. I repeat, forest teaches us values of diversity, freedom and coexistence. Hope you understood, students. Wherever you have queries, you can have me in the classroom hub. After giving assignment, try to write this, because Vandana Shiva blueprint is nearly 11 marks, students. It's very easy. If you read this lesson essay in making a part, you will understand very easily and makes you to write easily also. You can add up your related or fact related examples for this essay also. You can go with some few examples, what's happening in the nature, you can relate with the things. So thank you. You hope you understood, students. Thank you all.